It was the Christmas of 2008. And for Christmas, me and my sister both got Nintendo DS's. Now, me and my sister both got around 9 games each, and from the separate small lists of games that my sister and I got, almost none of them matched. I got a lot of Super Mario games and other typical boy games, which were great, and my sister got a lot of typical girl games like Ubisoft's Dogs, where you just cared for a puppy all day. Out of both collections of games, however, there was one we both shared. And that game was Animal Crossing Wild World. It was a game where you lived in a village, with talking animals, and you would befriend said animals and do things around the village. There was a lot of stuff to do in Animal Crossing, but all of it could be seen more as work than as anything really that fun. For example, villagers would sometimes ask a small favor for you. Basically, they would ask you to go buy a couch for them, and you would do it, and that was it. They would thank you, and that was just it. So you would think that wouldn't sound too appealing to any young kids, but yet it was the only game me and my sister ever really played. And for some reason, this game, all about doing mundane activities just to make virtual animals happy, nothing but ones and zeros, this game really took hold of my sister and I. Whether it was helping out a rooster with finding a painting that matched his room or getting a penguin a new shirt, we spent hours lost in this game, in its unique world. Now, Animal Crossing wouldn't be Animal Crossing if it wasn't for that raccoon bastard Tom Nook. Right when you start the game and get out of the cab ride, within your first 5 minutes of playing, you meet Tom Nook, who has built you a house, which you naively believe is free, and it was just him being nice due to you never asking for a house. But then this little raccoon bastard demands tens of thousands of bells, despite you never asking for this house. I mean, you've never met this guy before, and all of a sudden he says you owe him tens of thousands of bells for a house he built you without you even asking him. Why? Because fuck you, that's why. Either way, Tom's going to get his money, and he is going to make you pay every dime. Oh, and Tom doesn't even fully finish your house? No. That's how he makes sure you pay. You see, Tom will finish parts of your house depending on how much you pay him. But once you get past Tom's bullshit scam, however, you're free to explore the rest of Animal Crossing's world. In Animal Crossing Wild World, making money is simple. If you want to make money, all you have to do is either fish, catch bugs, or dig up fossils. Now, there are many other ways to earn bells, such as taking bells off the money tree. Yes, there is a money tree, or selling fruit or seashells, but fishing, bug catching, and fossils are easily the best ways to earn bells in this game. None of these methods are too hard. You just throw the line in front of the fish and it'll bite it. Bug catching involves you just catching the bugs in your net, and digging up fossils was the easiest of all. You just dig up all the spots marked with an X. Money making and talking to the villagers were really the only gameplay loops of Animal Crossing Wild World, but to me and my sister, that was all we needed. Sometimes I wonder if the Animal Crossing games are good at all, or if it's just my nostalgia that makes me like these games so much. When I used to play Animal Crossing, life was simple. School was a breeze, and I never had to do anything. Everything in life was easy. I mean, all this game is paying off a mortgage to a scam artist and occasionally helping out your villager friends. So I had to figure out if the only reason why I liked these games was if it reminded me of these days. So I set out to determine why I liked it then and now, which eventually led to me creating this video. I think the reason why I liked Animal Crossing so much as a kid was its simplicity. It wasn't anything difficult or hard, and it was something that both me and my sister could play together. Another reason I think I liked Animal Crossing was somehow each animal was unique too. Somehow in 2005, Nintendo created a game with what felt like real dynamic characters. This doesn't seem big now, but in the 2000s, that was a big deal. Most games had very linear dialogue, with each character only having like 5 lines of dialogue. Where in Animal Crossing, I never actually remember them repeating themselves hardly ever. Sure, they use the same greetings, but people in real life do. I actually got to know these virtual animals' personalities. In Animal Crossing, you had your own little virtual community. I remember I used to have a lion that used to love to work out. And I also had a penguin that loved sweaters. That specific penguin moved from my sister's village to mine, and that penguin actually remembered my sister when she went to my village. While talking about my sister coming to my village, traveling to villages was one of the best features about playing this game. If you and someone else were on the same internet connection, you could travel to each other's villages and interact with each other's villagers. Your village could turn into a hangout place for you and your real-life friends. Animal Crossing would not be the game that it is without the soundtrack. This soundtrack encapsulates everything Animal Crossing is. The relaxing melodies that accompanied this game accompanied the relaxed era that was early childhood. Whether it's the smooth, jazzy 12 a.m. song, or the slightly more productive 9 a.m. song, there's not a single song in this playlist that doesn't feel just right. All of these songs put me into the headspace of my 6-year-old self, who was drowsily playing his DS on a rainy midnight drive home. This music is Animal Crossing. You could have the funny talking animals and the collectibles and the mortgages, but without the music, it's just not Animal Crossing. In fact, from time to time, I listen to the over a decade-old songs just to relax and contemplate everything that I've been through so far in my life. I think it's an important thing for people to do, to just sit down on a rainy day and reflect. Life is constantly pushing us along at the speed of a bullet, so I think it's important that once in a while we take a moment to reflect about our lives so far, and what has led us to where we are today, so that in relaxation, solace, and reflection, we can appreciate both the loud struggles in our lives and the quiet midnight drives. Eventually, my sister got out of the game. She was in high school and she had dates and softball games to worry about, so eventually we played less and less together. She had just gotten to an age where playing Nintendo games with her little brother just wasn't that fun anymore. I couldn't blame her for it, that's just how things were. About a year later, I also got out of the game, due to my cousin showing me the awesome world of Xbox games, such as Halo Reach and Black Ops 1, which each of those games deserve their own videos, but it wasn't until recently that I got back into Animal Crossing at all. With me finding an old Animal Crossing New Leaf cartridge, and for some reason I popped it into my old 3DS, and it didn't take long until I was once again transported into the simple world that is Animal Crossing. And while I was taken back into Animal Crossing's world, I was also taken back into another world. I was taken back into 6-year-old me's world. A world where everything was easy, and nothing really mattered, and for the first time in a long time, it felt as though the weight of the world's stresses, responsibilities, and obligations melted away, as my only concern was to help my villagers, catch bugs, and dig up fossils. In that moment, I finally understood why after all these years, Animal Crossing is still a beloved franchise in the hearts of many people. I understood why it's still as popular as it is, and I understood why I loved this game when I was little, and why I still love the game now. Unlike when I was a kid, it's no longer about being excited that Tom Nook finished a part of your house. It's not about making bells, and it's not even about helping your villagers. Now when I play the game, it's about becoming that 6-year-old kid again. It's about re-entering that carefree world, free from today's burdens. It's about being taken to a time when there was no politics, crises, murder, war, or tragedy. It's about being in a totally innocent time again. To me, that's why even in 2021, I still love this game series. New mechanics may be introduced to the game, new buildings, new items, new houses, but to me that's not what makes Animal Crossing Animal Crossing. To me, Animal Crossing is a portal to the past, a past where nothing mattered. For me, the only thing that matters in an Animal Crossing game is that the game makes everything else not matter.